If you are someone who has just started off with French preparation and you're worried if you're on the right track, then this video is for you because today we'll be talking about the top 7 common mistakes that you should avoid when you start learning French to prepare for the TEF and TCF exam. Salut, I'm Akshara and I cleared my TEF Canada exam, and I have created this channel only to talk about my journey and to help you avoid the mistakes that I did during my learning journey. So if you're new here, hit the subscribe button as I post videos every single week related to the French learning and the TEF and TCF exam. Now let's get right into the video. In my understanding, the very first mistake that we do when we are learning French, especially in your fundamentals, that is your A1 and A2 stage, is focusing only on grammar for a long time. While grammar is definitely important for your learning, it's just one part of the language. You typically start off with grammar rules to get the fundamentals and just to get into the language, but don't neglect other aspects like vocabulary and pronunciation and mainly listening skills. Listening skills is super important. So make sure that you have a study plan which is balanced and that sort of facilitates to all of the areas that you are focusing on in the language. Because I used to spend hours and hours poring over only grammar books, and I was thinking that's the way to fluency. That's what typically everybody thinks, they go right from A1 to B2, majorly focusing on grammar. You get your, like for me, I used to get my grammar exercises right because I have just learned those grammar points, of course. But if the same thing, if I was at B1 level and had I put in a lot more effort to listening and speaking and all of those skills as well, then I would also be at B1 level in all of the skills. Instead, B1 doesn't necessarily mean that I have attained B1 in all of the skills. It could be just in grammar. So, definitely, I would suggest that don't focus only on grammar. It is very important, I agree, but it's very important for you to pick up listening, speaking, pronunciation, all of these different aspects right from the very beginning. Your vocabulary is super important because, yes, grammar is one part of it, but vocabulary is like a huger chunk which under which all of the sections come under. So it's very important that you focus on building vocabulary as well. Yeah, because like I said, I was only doing a lot of grammar for a long time, but only after I started diversifying my studying pattern and started focusing on all of the other aspects as well, I saw my real improvement, you can say, because it's very important to build your vocabulary, all of your other different skills as well. Because let's take your native language for example. If somebody asks you some grammar rules in your native language, it wouldn't be at the tip of your tongue, but you can speak fluently, you can understand somebody, right? That's because you have a holistic learning of the language when where you have built around the whole language and not just some grammar rules. It's okay to focus on grammar right when you start off, but you quickly need to start moving towards developing all of the other competencies as well. And that takes me to my second mistake, in my opinion, is not having consistency. One of the biggest problems is not studying regularly, especially when you just start off. Learning a language requires daily practice, and you need to stick to it and do it time and again. Set a schedule, figure out, even if it's just 30 minutes a day to begin with. You can find whatever that works for you best, even in your busiest of the schedule. I'm sure you can find some time, if not actively, even just passively, to keep in touch with the language, because consistency definitely helps you reinforce what you've already learned, and that helps you to progress as well in a steady manner, in a step by step manner. Personally, I did struggle with this at first, and that usually happens when you're studying by yourself. So I can understand that it is pretty hard to set a discipline, but once you do that, you will start seeing that you will start enjoying the language, you will come back to it, and you will build a whole schedule around it. For example, once you get into it, if you don't put solid timeline goals that you want to achieve by this time, it becomes hard. Otherwise, you're always slacking off. You're trying. you're trying to push it at the back of your head that, okay, yeah, I will study, I will do it, sort of a thing, that kind of mindset. But once you put a fixed schedule that you want to do at least this way, you want to be consistent, you want to have like a mental streak of, okay, today I studied, last 6 days I've been studying French, so I don't want to break that streak, and then you get back to it, and it's a fun thing. It almost becomes like, brushing your teeth or doing some chore that you every single day do. It definitely adds up, and it's very important when you start off that you are into the language and you are getting into the groove of it, because 1 or 2 days also you break the flow, it just becomes a lot more harder on third day to get back, because at the back of your head you're like, ah, I have to study again. So yeah, it's better for you to be consistent, and then you will see progress. And on the flip side of this, another mistake that a lot of people do is setting too tight timeline goals right when you start off. And that, in turn makes you be a lot more hard on yourself, because language learning is a process, it is a subjective process. And I understand that you might have tight timelines because of several external factors and circumstances, but setting a deadline can be really stressful. You need to focus on building the language initially, at least, and not obsess over giving the exam and just clearing it, because till you go up until B2 level, you shouldn't think about the exam. When I say think about the exam, think about clearing the exam, but you do have to think about how you want to approach for the exam. You don't have to worry about the exam itself, but more on building the skill set of the language. Right when you start off things, if you set up really tight timelines, what happens is you don't know what your competency is like in this language. So if you are not able to attain that, then it becomes like a negative loop, and it might be stressful for you, and things like that happen. So it's very important that you just focus initially on picking up the language, just be consistent and focus on learning the language every single day. And by the end of a long time, which is like 6 months, 8 months, you would have automatically picked up the language, and then you can start focusing on how you want to deal with the exam and then things like that. So you need to keep in mind that acquiring a language and giving the exam, getting a B2 plus are two different things, because there's a different structure of the exam and there's a different way the exam is designed itself. So you don't have to get let down if things don't work out, and you don't have to think about that right in the beginning. So just focus on acquiring the language and build a skill set, and automatically, if you are good at what you have acquired, the exam is bound to be cleared. So you don't have to worry about that. And that takes me to my next point, which a lot of people I feel that make a mistake in is not having a comprehensive plan. Like I said, people either focus only on grammar for a very, very long time, and they don't focus on other things. So it's very important that you have a study plan, or like an outline, rough outline of how you want to deal with things. So it's important for you to sort of make a plan where you are giving grammar some time, speaking some time, listening, reading, all of these different aspects. Writing, yes, writing is also very important, because for the exam, what we're talking about, your NCLC 7 is what is required for TEF and TCF Canada. And you need these scores in all of the four competencies: your reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So it's very important for you to develop all of these four aspects, and you need to give in time for all of these four aspects. So come up with a study schedule that works out for all of the four aspects. They're pretty interrelated, I can say. If you are trying to focus on reading, automatically you're building your vocabulary, which you can utilize for your writing as well as speaking. So they're all pretty interlinked. So figure out a way where you are able to focus on all of the factors, and you will be able to see that you will see some great results at some point. I say this because when I first started off, I was all over the place. I was either focused too much on grammar, or some parts of my studying journey, I used to only focus on audio. It was all over the place. Then, once I mapped out like a rough schedule on how to focus on each of these factors, I felt I could also, like, see it translate into my language as well, that I was developing equally in all of the four sections. So, it's important for you to focus and give time for everything. That's the only way that you will be able to clear the exam, because like I said, learning the language and giving exam are two slightly different things, and you have to orient yourself towards preparing for the exam. Next mistake is a lot of people do is that learning French only to clear TEF. Learning French with the intention of only clearing TEF or TCF exam can become a little tricky. Yes, passing the exam is a really great goal, and that is going to lead you to PR and permanent residency in Canada, which is amazing. That's a huge feat in itself. But beyond all of this, you need to have a sense of real interest for the language and culture, you can say, of French language or whatever it is. You should also have a personal goal in order to pick up the language, because when things get tough, and it definitely will get tough at different points of your learning journey, personally what pushes you is what is going to help you to get through those points where you get stuck. Because for example, whatever it can be, you like watching a movie in French, and that's a good motivation for you, or you are going to pick this up as a skill for working in a French domain in Canada, which is also great because there are a lot of opportunities when it comes to French. The government themselves are pushing out the French language, and there's a lot of employment opportunities. Whatever it is, you would like to travel to France, there are so many reasons, personal reasons, professional reasons, that you would have to learn the language, because that is very important. Yes, PR is a goal, like I said, but you also need to have other things to push you to get through the whole journey and to clear the exam as well. You have to enjoy. Oh my God, that's the most important part. You need to learn to enjoy. It's very important for you to enjoy the language as well. Like, for example, for me personally, yes, I did have a lot of ups and downs in my learning journey as well. But beyond all of this, I was truly interested in learning the language. For example, when I was, I think, in my B1 level, I watched a French movie with French subtitles, and that was super motivating for me because I was really psyched that I can watch a new language. I can watch a movie in a whole new language, and it was very exciting for me. And I started, appreciating French culture. My motivation went up. At the end of the day, you are significantly investing a lot of time into it, so you have to enjoy, and at the end of it, you also have to pick up the skill of the French language itself even after giving the exam, so that you can use that in different parts of your life. So I would say that, try to establish goals of learning the language even beyond PR, and that is going to help you along the way. Next is a very personal mistake that I did, and I would like to talk about that, is being very lazy to write. This was the biggest mistake I did because I was always very unmotivated to write. I always struggled with writing, and I was very lazy. And I think writing is also something that takes a little too much of effort when you compare it to all other things. Reading is just out there, you can read or things like that. But if you have to practice writing, you have to sit down with a book, or you have to sit on the laptop and put yourself, give it 30 minutes and write. I was very lazy, or I was procrastinating. More than that, I think it was personally that I felt like I wasn't very good at writing. So I always put it at the back of my head. I would only do things that I was good at. But that definitely caused me some problem when it came to my exam, because I was missing out on points only due to my expressio écrite. So it's very important for you to do it right from the beginning. it's often overlooked, so, but it's very crucial for you to improve your grammar and sentence structure. And the only way you can do that is by practicing a lot. You can write short sentences, you can write about how your day went, you can write about essays, lot of different things. So I would say please inculcate that habit right from the beginning. Even you can start off with 20, 30 words, 50 words, and then eventually take it up to 200, 250 words. And you will feel that fluency, those words and the sentences will start flowing in once you have that practice. And you will feel a lot more better and confident when it comes to the expressio accrete section. The next mistake, what a lot of people do is ignore the pronunciation aspect of it. Pronunciation is really important. I have made a whole video on this. You can check this out here and try to find different ways to improve your pronunciation, because uh, your A1 and A2 is going to be the base. You have to establish right pronunciations, because that's going to take a long way in French with your listening, speaking, even writing aspect. I have spoke about it in detail in that video. You can definitely check it out and try to practice pronunciation on a daily basis. So it's very important for you to learn it right first time around, so that you can bump up your points as well. And you can use Google Translate to learn the pronunciation of words. I think that's the most solid and straightforward way, where you put in a particular word and then click on the hearing option and you can see how it sounds and then work your way around it. So that was about how you can improve your pronunciation. And there it is. These are typically the seven most common mistakes, I would say, that you can avoid while preparing for your French language and for TEF and TCF exam right from scratch. You can adapt some of these strategies right from the beginning, and you would be able to progress quickly. Yes, it does seem a little hard, and you might feel like there are too many things. You might feel overwhelmed when you have to focus on so many things, but I'm sure you'll be able to strike a balance between everything eventually, once you start learning to enjoy the process and not focusing too much on the result itself. So you will be able to genuinely appreciate the process, and it's a really cool thing for you to, at the end of the day, get to a level of B2 plus and clear an exam in a whole new language that you learned. So that is a big motivation in itself. And if you're just starting off and you don't know how to figure this around or how to go about it, you can absolutely reach out to me. I will leave a link in the description below. You can schedule a call and we can get in touch. And if you have any other questions regarding the language or exam pattern or anything as such, you can drop them in the comments below and I will answer that for you. That's it for this video, and keep learning and stay motivated. I will see you in the next one. A bientôt.